Hi guys, so I want to talk you through exactly how we're going to do our live launch list. This is a little more tricky than the last one, okay? So I'm in MailChimp, and what I have done is I'm in the campaigns tab. And for a minute, we're going to go to our lists tab. So let's click on the lists tab. Now you might recall that in our lists, the last campaign, which was our email nurture sequence campaign, was actually being sent to our downloadable visitors to this list here. So we've got people on that downloadable visitors list. We've got a bunch of people on there, okay? And the people that we've got on there basically are people that have either finished going through the campaign that I've sent to this list, or they're people that might have got the campaign and clicked off halfway through to actually go to the next series or the next action, which is going to be to watch the webinar ultimately. Does that make sense? So we've got two different types of people on this list. So we're going to do two different things here, and I'll explain it after. It's not going to make much sense to start with, but just hear me out. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to actually create a new segment on my downloadable visitors list. That new segment, so we'll click on new segment, right? And the new segment is going to be all contacts who match automation activity completed the workflow of nurture email sequence, okay? So everyone in this list who has actually completed the nurture email sequence is basically going to be my segment, right? So I'm actually from here going to preview my segment, okay? I've got 37 contacts that match my conditions, and I'm going to save that segment, and I'm going to name the segment downloadable visitors who have completed email nurture campaign sequence, because that's a pretty long title, but at least you guys will know exactly what it is, right? So we're going to save that. Okay, and so now we have our first segment saved. Does that make sense? Now, with this segment, I'm actually going to go and I'm going to export this segment, and this is something that you're going to have to go and do fairly regularly. I would say like once a week or something. Just pop it in your diary so you remember to do it. There are other quicker, better ways to do this, but they do require a subscription upgrade and a little bit more cash put into them. And to be honest, I think for the amount of emails at this point that you might be getting, it may not be worth it. Once you get a little bit more emails, it might be worth it. So let's just click on our export segment. And so what's that's done is create a list export. Yeah. It's just coming up here, and eventually it's going to be looking like one of these ones, right? And so it'll have contacts on it, and then from there we can literally click the export as CSV button, and that's going to download to our desktop or on our computer somewhere. Does that make sense? So that's just an activity that you're going to have to do every now and again. So I'm going to go back to lists now, because I've already created the segment, but I'm also going to now create a list called webinar visitor. I've actually already created this one, but let's just create it again because that will be easy. Yeah, so I'm just going to delete this one so I can recreate it. Right. Yeah, okay. Didn't like that, but it's back. All right, so if I go to my list now, I should not have a list called webinar visitors, and I don't, so that's great. So I'm going to create a list, okay, and just click on create list, and we're going to call this one webinar visitor, or webinar visitors, right? Just so you guys know, the webinar is the second thing in my chain. So they go from having the lead magnet or the downloadable, they read a bit about that. A few emails later, I send them some information to say, hey, I'm holding this masterclass, this webinar, why don't you come and check it out? Yep. So it's anyone that's basically clicked that link and come into the masterclass to have a little look. Yep. So these are my webinar visitors. Just literally just reuse my privacy reminder. And I'm just going to say you requested our downloadable or you joined our webinar. And that's pretty much it. So that's done. I can also ask to get notifications of it if I want as well. Yep, so that's done. So now I have a list called webinar visitors, and I have a segment on my downloadable visitors. I have a segment called the downloadable visitors who have completed an email nurture campaign sequence. Does that make sense, guys? So now I'm going to show you in my next video how to actually set up the live launch sequence once we've done that.